After winning the 2024 election, he's preparing to take the reins of the world's largest and most powerful economy once again. But this time, the world's economic landscape has changed. Global trade, inflation, and the dynamics of power are shifting. So, what does the return of Trump mean for the global economy? If you're new here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos on economics, politics, and how these world events affect you. In this video, we're going to dive deep into Trump's potential economic agenda and break down what the world can expect under Trumponomics 2.0. Let's get right into it. 1. The US dollar and global trade dynamics. When Donald Trump takes office again, one of the most immediate effects will be on the US dollar. The dollar is the world's reserve currency, and its strength or weakness can have massive ripple effects across the global economy. Right after Trump won the 2024 election, the dollar surged in value. Why? Well, traders are betting that Trump will adopt an economic strategy that will increase US demand, and that in turn will drive inflation. But, and this is crucial, inflation leads to higher interest rates, which makes the dollar more attractive to investors, pushing its value up. Now here's the kicker. When the dollar strengthens, it can hurt the economies of countries that depend on exports. Countries like Mexico, Japan, and Germany, who rely heavily on the US as their primary consumer market, could see their currencies weaken, which raises the cost of their goods and services abroad. 2. Trade policy, tariffs, taxes, and tensions. One of the most iconic aspects of Trump's first term was his aggressive stance on trade. He made no secret of his intention to reshape global trade to benefit the US by imposing tariffs, particularly on China. But now that the global landscape has shifted, what can we expect under Trump 2.0? First, let's talk about tariffs. Trump has said, "Under my leadership, we are going to take other countries' jobs." He's not shy about pushing a policy of America first. His administration introduced tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, and expect more of the same this time around. He's already hinted at imposing tariffs on imports, with some estimates suggesting a 10% tariff on all foreign goods and even 60% on Chinese imports. The University of Melbourne explores how Trump's protectionist trade policies, such as tariffs on imports, could lead to retaliatory measures and harm global trade. Now, Trump isn't just targeting China. Any country that displeases him could find themselves on the receiving end of tariffs. Countries with large trade deficits with the US, like Mexico, Japan, and Germany, are prime targets. However, Trump's economic diplomacy is often transactional. Countries that buy a lot of US military equipment or contribute heavily to NATO might avoid the worst of his tariffs. Think Saudi Arabia, Israel, and, to a lesser extent, South Korea. But what about countries like Germany or Japan? They could still face the heat, especially as Trump ramps up his rhetoric on trade imbalances. Reuters discusses Trump's potential shift to isolationist policies, including pulling back from international agreements. This insight is relevant to the script's point about the US potentially disrupting the global economic order and allies seeking new trade partners. 3. The Tariff Paradox. Higher taxes, higher demand. Here's the paradox. Despite all his tough talk on tariffs, Trump is actually a big spender. In his first term, Trump passed massive tax cuts, and his administration injected billions into the economy with stimulus checks. The result? Americans had more money in their pockets, which they used to spend, especially on imports. Yes, you heard that right. Despite the tariffs designed to cut imports, US demand for foreign goods surged. Trump might implement tariffs, but if he also passes tax cuts or offers more stimulus, American consumers will have more disposable income. 4. The Billionaire Influence, Musk and austerity. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Trump's new ally, billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk, could have a major influence on the direction of his economic policies. Musk has hinted at massive government spending cuts, especially in social programs, with the goal of reducing the US deficit. If Musk's austerity measures are implemented, this could lead to a significant slowdown in US economic activity. The US could slide into a recession, and that would have severe consequences for global markets. A recession would mean fewer dollars in Americans' pockets to spend on imports, which could hurt global exporters who depend on US demand. Now, financial markets seem to be betting on a Trump 1.0 boom. In other words, more spending and higher inflation leading to higher interest rates, which strengthens the dollar. 5. Interest rates, inflation, and the global debt trap. Whatever direction Trump's policies take, one thing is clear. Global markets are betting on higher interest rates. You see, if Trump continues to increase government spending, it's likely to cause inflation. The Federal Reserve would then have to raise interest rates to combat that inflation. Higher rates mean higher borrowing costs for everyone, especially countries that rely on US dollars to borrow and lend. The CSIS highlights that Trump's second term could introduce significant shifts in global trade and geopolitical dynamics. This approach could disrupt established international cooperation frameworks, potentially leading to tensions with key trading partners like Japan, the EU, and emerging economies such as India. The analysis underscores the high stakes for global economic stability and power balances during a Trump presidency. 6. The recession risk, Trump and the Fed. But there's another potential scenario here. What if the global economy crashes due to Trump's policies and we see a recession? In that case, the Federal Reserve might lower interest rates to stimulate the US economy. Lower interest rates would weaken the dollar and potentially give some relief to global borrowers. However, the real question is whether Trump can force the Fed to do his bidding, as he's already clashed with the central bank before. If the Fed sticks to its mandate and raises interest rates to curb inflation, it could stifle economic growth. If the Fed lowers rates to combat a recession, it could hurt global markets that rely on the strength of the US dollar. The long-term effects of this uncertainty are bad news for both the US and the global economy. 7. The global economic order. Will Trump reform or disrupt it? So, what does all this mean for the global economic order? Trump's economic advisor, Scott Bessent, has said that the US under Trump isn't looking to lead the world anymore. This could mean America takes a more isolationist stance, focusing on its own economic growth while leaving its allies to fend for themselves. In conclusion, the wild ride is ahead. So, there you have it. Donald Trump's second term promises to be a roller coaster ride for the global economy. Whether it's through trade wars, interest rates, or the battle over the US dollar, the future is uncertain. Will Trump's policies bring prosperity, or will they bring chaos? The reality is, we're in for a wild ride, and the rest of the world will feel the effects no matter which direction Trump takes. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into global economic trends.